Hello everybody, welcome back to Musings by Nikki. This is Nikki. I am here with a design team project for Tracie Fox. Love junk journals on Etsy or Tracie Fox Creative. I will have all her links below. I have done something very different. It is not a junk journal. It is not a project for a junk journal necessarily. I have used her kits to make jewelry. Junk journal inspired jewelry. And so this has been in my mind since this kit came out. And of course I don't have any of the names of the kits, but this is the discs. And it's a full sheet of discs, and they come with blank sides like that, and then designed sides like that. Flip that over. So I had this idea to make kind of like paper beads out of them to make earrings, and then it's grown from there. As she put out her tiny embellishments, like all her little tiny kits, her tiny tags, and then these are from her tiny tags words, and then I've used on the back of this one some labels, and then I used some of her her English garden flowers, like the old English flower set. So yeah, anyway, Tracie's got all these great tiny embellishments, and so as I started playing and making these, I decided that I needed to grow the jewelry collection. And so here's what I have so far. So let's talk through it. It's going to be kind of hard to show you because these things, you know, like these are necklaces, so they're meant to hang, but you'll have to just get the idea. So this is the earrings. So these are the earrings. This is what I came up with first. So they dangle, right? French hooks. They're French hooks. And I made beads, basically, paper beads that are covered in Mod Podge. And these are the disc embellishments. Then I just put a couple of little sparkly beads on there. And yeah, and they hang, and I've tried them on and they look lovely, and I'm so excited about them. I will definitely wear these. There are all kinds of different, so there are floral, I mean, you can see here butterflies and florals on those disc embellishments. There's a ton of different types of images. These two clearly are not the same. They're similar. They're black and white kind of birds. And however, you could print the sheet if you wanted to exact same earrings. You could just print the sheet twice. I'll talk you through how I made these beads because it's not hard, and then they're covered in Mod Podge, so they're protected, and like you could wear them and they're not gonna, you know, get wrecked by your hairspray, or if you happen to get caught in the rain for a few seconds, they shouldn't get super wrecked. So then along that same line, I used the same method to create paper beads out of those. So you can't really tell. It's several layers of cardstock thick, although on camera it just looks, you know, like a little piece of cardstock. So I used that same concept to create these like kind of plaques. Those are from her tiny embellishments. And then I strung them onto with some little green beads, seed beads that I had. I strung them onto a piece of, I've used kind of along the lines of the junk journal theme. I've used some of my waxed linen threads to put these onto. I was thinking about like hemp and stuff, but I don't want that by my skin because I get itchy. So isn't that fun? Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Anyway, I put them onto wax linen cord, which, you know, stands the test of time, and the knots should stay in there pretty good. And so there's a bracelet. This is super cute on. So look at that, guys. Isn't that cute? I mean, like, they're the perfect size. And yeah, they just, her little ephemera kits are perfect size for doing this. So there's that. Then I made this. So this is a bunch of little tiny tags that I printed out onto regular paper. Then I glued them onto muslin. Let's see if I can zoom in here since everything's so tiny. I glued them onto muslin like that with some Fabri-Tac, and then I stitched around them very carefully with my sewing machine because these are so tiny, but they're flexible, right? Oh, and then I Mod Podged over the fronts and backs of them. So that does a couple of things. It holds the threads in there really good, right there, and then it also just protects it a little bit from, you know, your skin and anything that would get wet or whatever. Then I just put jump rings. So now I've messed it all up, but honestly, once you kind of like shake it out, it goes right back to hanging nicely. So then I put a jump ring, there we go, at the top. I put a jump ring at the top of this, so this is just like a Tim Holtz safety pin, and then I put a jump ring there, and then one in the tag, then one in between, one in the next tag, one in between, one in the next tag, right, and so on and so forth. And then when I got to the bottom, I used one of her, from this kit right here, from the whoops, there you go, Tiny Tags Words, and there's all kinds of them to choose from. So I cut one out and sewed very carefully around the edges of that and Mod Podged over it and put that as the last one, and it says Live Your Dream. This I thought would also, here, let me pull it off of here. This would also make a really fun bracelet. So if you left the chain on the inside, so you reversed these so that they were facing out, and you made a whole bunch more of them, that would make a really cool like flappy bracelet too, wouldn't it? Of course with the tag showing out though. But mine don't want to lay that way. But wouldn't that be a fun flappy bracelet too? The way it would lay on there. And because it's on a pin, if you are so inclined, you could wear it as a brooch or a pin on your lapel or something. Or you could do this as like a journal, as a, oh my gosh, you guys, a tassel. Oh my goodness. A tassel for your journal as well. You could hang one of these on the side of your journal. See how I said it just kind of goes back. So you could put that definitely on the edge of a journal as well. You can make it as long as you wanted to. You could include some of the other little bits of ephemera on there and, you know, turn it into different things. Then as I was playing with the tiny ephemera, I put together the envelope. So this is like a little mini, I mean, that's my finger, right? So this is very small. I put together the little coin envelope. So that's kind of the base of this tag. And then I punched a little, put a little eyelet in there. And then before I glued it shut, I put a brad through there. And then I put a piece of wax linen thread through there and wound it around. And that's never going to come off because I have now Mod Podged, so it's essentially glued there. Then I printed off several of the, I printed off the whole sheet of it, and I cut out a whole bunch of the other little pieces and just layered them on top of this tag. So there's some music, a postcard, a little label, a teeny weeny ticket, a little flashcard, a bee, and then another thing, and it's from her Tiny Tags, excuse me, and it says Create with Courage. So this, and then I just ran the string through the top of the envelope, the flap of the envelope, so it kind of hangs nicely like that. Now again, you could put this in a journal if you wanted to, but the fact that I've Mod Podged over it, it's fairly sturdy, and I'm think it would really actually be a really cute necklace. It's not huge, but it would look cute on a long, you know, string that hangs long. But it also, because it's not super huge, it looks nice right up on your necklace line as well. Then I made this one. Let me take this off here. So on the back, which you really can't see, but the base of this is one of her new tags. So she's got a new set of tags out. So I used one of the new tags, and then again, I just used a ton of the tiny pieces of little ephemera. That's a book cover, bingo card, postcard. This is one of the tea cards, and I'll show you about that in a second. A label. So everything on here, all of these things except this flowers and this flowers, the rest of it all comes from tiny ephemera. That's literally just how small it is. If you haven't used it, it's such a fun kit to play with. I highly suggest going and grabbing it. And then I cut out the word creativity from that sheet that I was just showing you. Now this, so this little rose card or carnation card here, and then this little sunflower. Oh, then just for extra interest, I put a little Tim Holtz, I put on a jump ring, I put a little Tim Holtz paper clip, and then I stuck the sunflowers in here while the Mod Podge was still somewhat tacky, so it's not going to come out of there unless you really try. So I'm not worried about it falling out, but it looks cute to just have something flappy around. You know what, if I had to name this charm, I would name it my desk, because that's honestly what my desk looks like most of the time while I'm creating. Just a hot mess of pile of stuff. So if I had to name this one, it would be called my desk. And that's the size of my desk, and that's the size of the mess spilling and piling all over the side of it. So okay, let me show you about these florals really quick. So these are her Old English Garden Flowers set 1. And this is one sheet right here. So these 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These 10. But what I did was printed it off four to a sheet. So it shrunk them down to a quarter of their size. So it basically turned them into tiny ephemera as well. Usually they would be almost the size of, you know, 2 of these, like they're the size of tea cards. But when I did this to them, it shrunk them down to tiny ephemera. And so then you could cut these out, you could use these in all different kind of ways. Then this is what the discs look like, and of course I've already cut the top part out with all the designed ones, with all the design pieces. I've cut them off, and then I've punched out several of the blanks, or like the backside kind of ones too. So I'm going to set this aside. Let's zoom back out a little bit, and I'll show you. Let me set those over there. They want to slide everywhere. Ah ha ha! See, look what I was telling you about my desk. Well, it doesn't help that I just had that paper sitting over the top of it. But so this is like when you cut out her tiny embellishments paper. It's like one sheet, but you get all of this jazz, and I've already used some of it, but you get all this, and then these are those little tiny tea cards right here. Oh, they're so cute, you guys. Yeah, so you get all this wonderful stuff, like all this wonderful fodder for jewelry making, which you just never thought you'd be doing with it, right? But you are now. I don't know why I feel the need to sort. I'm sorting my fodder. So let's do a couple things here. If you are interested in seeing how I made the little paper beads, let's do that first. So here are a couple of the paper beads that I've finished. You can hear how they're kind of hard. It's because they're Mod Podged. So they really are pretty sturdy once I've done this to them, because there's layers of glue on the inside, and then there are layers of Mod Podge on the outside. So yeah, and you can see how they're reflecting the light, right? So these are two of the cute little ladybug and a little butterfly. So these are ready, and what I don't know how to, oh, I know how to show you. I was gonna say I don't know how to show you where the hole is, but I guess as we make them it'll make sense anyway. Also, if you want to make the earrings or any of that stuff but you don't have any of the supplies, you can go to Michael's or Joann, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. I'm sure Amazon sells them. This was like a cheap pack of all the things that you need. So I already had a majority of this, but I wanted them all in the same color. So these are the pins, and they come with ones with loops or with flat heads on the bottom. Then there were bracelet clasps, so I think they're called lobster claw clasps or something, and some jump rings, and then there are the French hooks and some little press beads. So this, and it was a great value, it wasn't that very expensive at all. So I'm going to take one of the pins and show you that, because there's just no way I can show you this on camera, it won't go close enough up. But right here, there is, that's the hole that I can press this through, like that. Now, you could also make these beads, and if you wanted to, you could punch holes, boom and boom, and then link them together, you know, end to end with jump rings that way as well. I mean, you could do, there are just so many applications. So let's make them. Let me stop chatting. So here I've got some little discs. What you want to do, these ones I've put an image on the front and nothing on the back, but if you want them like on the bracelet, if you are worried that it's going to be flipping around a lot, you could put images on the front and the back. You can do whatever you want to. You could cut some of those tiny words out and put those on each one, and then you could have little sayings. I mean, you know, you do you. But I'm gonna, oh, that one's pretty. I love the roses, the flowers are so pretty. And then, so then I need, so let me show you here. I use these become, so these kind of plain ones here, these become the spacers, essentially, for in between. And I use my little 1-inch punch. If you don't have one, but if you want to make this project or you want to play with these, I highly suggest getting one, because like 10 punches in, you'll be so glad you have this, instead of trying to fussy cut a whole bunch of circles, because I can fussy cut. It's not my favoriteest thing, but I can fussy cut. But trying to do circles, that is, man, what is it about it trying to cut a circle? Probably like trying to draw a perfect circle is difficult too. These ones I'm not so worried about getting, you know, perfectly punched, because again, they're just spacers. Okay, that's all we need. So look, already I'm very, very glad for my investment in this 1-inch punch. Okay, also the tiny embellishments kit comes with some of these little lovely, like, kind of mandala tile Moroccan looking discs as well. These I was also like, oh, those will be made into discs, because that would make a beautiful bracelet or earrings. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of squish my little organized piles back so I have some workspace. Okay, so I think on this bead I will make it reversible, so there's a front and a back that look like this. And then you want to take 2 of your spacer papers and line them up on top of each other, and then here's, let me get my, here's what we're going to do. We're essentially going to create, here's, let me, you know what, I just thought of a better way to show this to you. Let me grab a pen. This is what we want to do. We're going to cut on these lines. I mean, and look at, I've made this side smaller than this side smaller. It really actually doesn't matter all that much, but we want to cut this part out. So, because that's going to become the channel through which we can slide our strands, strands of whatever fiber you want to put this on or whatever. If you wanted to put it on something bigger like sari silk or seam binding or twine or something, just make sure this is wide enough, because it's going to be fairly flat. But if you make it wide enough, then you should be able to pull some things through there, okay? So that's where we're going to essentially cut. I have been eyeballing it. So we want to keep that half. We're going to get rid of this little middle part, and we want to keep this half, okay? So we now have two halves. The little middle part here, we're trashing that, okay? Because that's where the channel is going to be. Now, this is also where a fine tip glue really comes in handy, because this is small little work. So I'm going to lay this down. I guess it doesn't really matter for me which direction the bead goes in, because if it's a bracelet, it can go either way on my wrist. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to try and make my two images. Wow, it doesn't even really matter that the two images. If you're a stickler for that kind of stuff, then, you know, go ahead and make it work. Now I'm just putting roughly glue in the two areas and leaving that middle channel dry. And I'm going to lay down my first layer like this. Okay. Does this make sense so far, guys? So we've already got the design on that side, and on this side we are lining up the best we can. Now don't worry if you get a little bit over on the edges, you can always trim that up with a sharp scissor at the end. So we've got the beginning of our little channel through the middle of the bead. Once that gets dry enough, go ahead and put your next layer of glue. So like these layers of glue are also strengthening up this little disc so it can, you know, withstand some banging around and stuff. Now I'm putting my next layer. This is also, you know, I should have given you the warning, this is going to be a gluey fingers project, but you know, I like messy crafting. Okay, so now once you get to this point, you can actually kind of feel that there is a ridge starting there. And of course, I don't know. Can you see the... Nah. Anyway, you get what I'm saying, right, guys? So there's a ridge. So we have 2 layers of paper over here and 2 layers of paper over here. Now, when we put this top one on, that little cavern is going to be there, right? This little channel, and that will create the place for like our thread or our stick pin or whatever it is to go through from the end, like so. Or if you're threading a needle and you're pulling it through, you can do that like this. That's how I got my bracelet done. So then this one just goes on the top, like so. Now, a couple things, and then you just try to line this up the best you can. You can, once this is dry all the way, you can trim any little excess pieces off if you want to. That's up to you. You could, if you let this dry really good, you could take, if you had like a little bit of excess glue, like if you have the really fine tip glue, you can try and fill in any little ridges over here. And then once it's dry, you could take a nail file or something and sand around the outside. I'm not that fussy. I'm not getting into it that much, right? We make junk journals, so I don't need my little paper beads to be all that, you know, intense. But like as I'm looking at it now, can you kind of see that little tiny hole there? Right there. So there's a channel through there. So we've made a bead, guys. Here is my little demonstrating stick. So I can put it through this side and it comes through that side. Look at, we've got a little bead, got a little spinner bead. So this is how I did the earrings, and then that goes down well. it goes down. That's why I put beads there, right, to stop it from going down too far. And then you just make a curlicue at the top. On the bracelet, I just put some, oh, and then you're going to want to Mod Podge this. Also, you're going to want to ink the edges because you can see how it's kind of whitish there. Plus, I kind of like that antiqued vintagey look. And so when you Mod Podge over this ink, if you Mod Podge over the ink right away, let me grab the bracelet. See how it's kind of, the Mod Podge picks up that vintage photo and spreads it around like it's antiquing it almost. So there's what it looks like with that before I've done the Mod Podge, but now I just inked it. Once I Mod Podge over it, that Mod Podge picks up some of that ink from around the edges and spreads it over the top and kind of gives it this antique look, which I really like. If you don't like that, don't do the inking, or don't use a Distress Oxide that's going to run like that. Use something like a StazOn or something that's probably going to, it won't pick up and run like that. Okay, so those are the paper beads. Now I made on the bracelet, I made these essentially the same way. I just cut, now I didn't have blanks, like, so for this one, you know, I have these little blanks. For this one, I just cut strips and then cut down the size and cut 2 for each one, and layered those in between. Cut the channel just like I did, so glued on two sides, left the channel in the middle and put the top one on, made the little sandwich, and now it's a bead that moves on my thing. All right, now this was how I made the pendants. Pretty self-explanatory, I think, right? But this is one of Tracie's new labels, which of course I can't remember for the life of me what they're called. Holding the phone. Antiquity labels, set 1. They are gorgeous. Apparently, some of them are like old, like they are ceilings. They are from ceilings, you know, like panels of ceilings and stuff. Oh, they're just beautiful. And when you print them out, like, you know, when you see them in the shop, that's one thing, but when you print them out, you can, you know, love the little details and stuff. They're just very, very pretty. And so they work good for the base of my messy desk necklace one. Like this, right? So you can just see the edges of it there, but right, that's the tag on the back. So the edges are exposed, and the edges would be exposed here. And literally for this one, I knew I wanted to put the 2 eyelets up in the corner to have it hang off of. You could go like this and just have it hang this way, and then you could put a little dangle off the bottom even. I mean, you guys, there's like a 1,000 billion ways that you could do this. I'm so excited to play some more. Matter of fact, let's do one that way. I think I'll just put one hole in the middle and then one hole at the bottom, and I'll dangle like the little tag that I made on the paper clip. I think I'll dangle something off the bottom, maybe a couple of beads. So I know that I need to leave space like here for an eyelet, and then down here for another eyelet. It's okay that I color on there because I'm going to punch those holes out, but that just gives me a visual cue to remember to leave those spaces, you know, around those spaces open. And then I take some, I was just going to say some of the bigger ephemera, which is funny because it's this here teeny weeny. And of course I'm going to need my vintage photo, because again, it picks it up and kind of gives it this lovely antique look. But then I also want to make sure that any areas that are going to be exposed off the back just kind of have a nice little edge. That one, it looks like I already, did I do this tag? No. I printed these onto copier paper by accident, but actually I'm kind of glad that I did, because it gave me a chance to glue it onto some stronger cardstock, which is nice because it makes it a little bit stronger for the base. The Mod Podge also strengthens it up quite a bit. Okay, so then you just kind of start layering it out. I mean, honestly, think of what your desk looks like if it gets crazy like mine. This is where I have to stop myself from being super symmetrical and being like, boop, bloop, doop. Because that's not how my desk looks. Maybe we'll put these, we'll put this lovely lady. She wants to go on there. Oh, it looks like I already inked. Okay, and then, let's see, ooh, mushrooms. We need some mushrooms and probably some flowers. But you know what, when you gotta open it first. Even though the top looks like that, it's all dried up and gross and it won't actually ink my stamper. Stobber. What do you call this thing, guys? Dauber? Inker. Sponge. Spongy thingy. You know, I like my non-committal weird words like spongy thingy. Do some mushrooms because they are all the rage right now. Andrea had already made that gorgeous ferns and mushrooms kit that I've seen like 1,000 people make beautiful journals out of. Tracie's got tons of wonderful images, mushrooms and toadstools. Artsology, that wasn't that kit that I was having fun with. Here's like a little ticket. Do I want to do that? Oops, I'm losing track of my... This is all going to have to be moved anyway because I have to glue it. And then maybe maybe a pretty little butterfly down at the bottom. Yeah, because then I still have my hole there. Roughly. Okay, I'm going to pull it. You know, it'll all change the minute I start gluing. But let's just go for it. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. This is the part of the video where I get to be chatty because all we're doing is gluing. So let me let you know. I know that it's hot in a lot of places. And I know that anybody that's watching from like Phoenix or, you know, Australia is going to be like, girl, you don't know hot. But can I just tell you for a second, wine, whatever it is, my phone alerted me a few minutes ago that not only is it 93 degrees Fahrenheit, which, you know, 93, not all that hot, all things considered, but our heat index now is 112 because of this. The humidity is so wicked awful right now. So when you walk outside of our door, it's like walking into a sauna. If you live somewhere where there's a tropical rainforest, yep, now I would say this is what that feels like because it's so gross out. And my 12-year-old, it was her last day of volleyball camp this morning, and they went to a beach, like a sand court. You guys, that's so awful. They changed it to 9 a.m. anyway. It was a little bit cooler then, but oh, that was no good. Glue all over my fingers. But they went to 9 a.m. but still it was so gross already. And I was like, and they've been in a gym that's not air conditioned all week. But then today they went on the hottest day of the week. They went out to a sand court where it's like extra hard. If you know about volleyball, if you've played volleyball, sand court volleyball is extra intense because you take so much extra work in the sand. So they were out there playing sand court volleyball this morning for 3 hours. Oh, dear child. She came home and fell asleep on the bed, like dead asleep. I believe that was hot. Okay, see, it's already changing. I don't exactly remember how I had it on there, but this is roughly how it goes, and it doesn't really matter in the end. We're just kind of collaging. I thought about trying to put some cheesecloth on here, but then I was like, I don't know how well that will do. I'm just making a glue mess. I don't know how well that'll do. It probably would do fine with the Mod Podge. Actually, it would just seal it down like it did the strings on that other one. Oh, I forgot to ink these last few. And we're under tornado watch right now and severe thunderstorm watch, because when the heat gets this bad, it tends to react violently as it hits other systems and get all the severe weather. And I know it's headed your way if you live out on the eastern seaboard or anywhere in that general direction. It's coming your way. We're sharing. There we go. Almost done. I've managed to leave the 2 holes open so far, so that's really good. Cute. Look at it. It's another My Desk charm, right? Just like a mishmash throw around of bits and pieces of ephemera. Only these are all just lovely and none of them are scraps. They're all pieces of pretty ephemera. Usually My Desk has a lot of like scraps on it as well. And then, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. We're only at 36. You know, I'll go an hour. Let's pick a word or something to say on here, because we've got a little space right down here at the bottom I could pop a word on. So let's see, what do we want to cut out? Courage. Ooh, it takes courage to leave your desk like that and have your husband continue to look at you and be like, what are you doing? Oh, I like this one. Relax and enjoy, because that's what I do when I'm crafting. But of course, it's all the way in the middle here. But that's okay, because Tracie has left you lots of space in between them. Thank you, Tracie. As a designer, that is a good thought, because it makes it possible to do what I just did and like rip right into the middle and not worry about wrecking the rest of my words. So I still have all the rest of them. Why am I using my giant scissors for this? Especially while I've got a camera hovering above me and I'm trying to make sure I stay in. Chantal, my friend Chantal. Hi Chantal. Just had a picture on Facebook, I think yesterday or the day before, of her crafty space with some candles lit and maybe a cup of tea or something, and she was just saying how she was enjoying her crafting time, and I was like, yes, that is totally how I feel about it too. Look, there we go. So relax and enjoy. That, I share that sentiment with you, Chantal. And of course I just stuck it right to my thumb, but there's still enough glue. I don't want to cover up that whole butterfly right there. Boom. Now I'm gonna take my crocodile, because I want small holes in there. So like this one has the 2 sizes of holes, so this has the small holes, and that is what I want to put in. And this is the one thing that makes me crazy about this, is like the little things don't always eject out of the, come on, there we go. And then when they do, they go all over. But as previously mentioned, my desk usually has stuff all over anyway. There's our first little hole. Now pop a second little hole up here. All right. Now, I've got little mini eyelets here. And here's what I'm going to ask you guys, because you're brilliant, intelligent ladies and gentlemen. And you have told me all kinds of wonderful advice. My crocodile, while it can do these, it doesn't really finish the back off very nicely. And I don't, like my other like old-fashioned hammer setting tool isn't even small enough, like it's way too big. So I've got this set on my smallest setting that I can to try and do this, but it still just does not make, it makes a funky finish. It does not, and I'll show you in a second here. Ugh. See what I mean? It smashes it funny. What? Why does it? Because I think it's too big. So please do tell me, please do share if you have a tip for setting small eyelets in a better way. Because yeah, I mean that one a little bit closer to like normal, but still. And so then what I end up doing is, and you're gonna hear this, turn your volume down on your computer if you have me up really loud right now, but I end up taking the edge of this one's not so bad, it's not gonna catch much, going like that, because otherwise you're gonna have sharp old edges on there. And if you're trying to wear jewelry with a sharp edge, this one still has a little sharp edge, but luckily I have my jewelry pliers right here, so I can bend that around a little, bend it off. There we go. There, now it's not sharp. Okay, so Mod Podge, and then let's just use this as a, whoa guys, sorry about that, just sent you on a little ride. This is a spare piece of waxed linen that I had sitting over there, so we can pop it on like it's gonna be a necklace, like that, right? So it'd hang like that, and then I'm gonna just put, I don't know, I'll drop a little charm on the bottom or something like that, or you could hang a couple of beads. You could put a couple holes and hang beads off of 3 little spaces. Guys, it's just so fun. I swear, once you start doing this, you're not gonna want to stop, because it's super fun, and you're gonna create all kinds of super fun things, and then you're gonna be able to wear your junk journals, because that, who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, probably a lot of people would be like, what? But for us, you're my kind of people, right? For us, this is super fun. So I'm gonna send a couple of these in some happy mail, probably. Tracie Fox, thank you for these wonderful kits. They are so fun to play with again and again. They work great for collaging, you know, and doing all kinds of stuff. But look at, you can do non-book related things too with them. And Tracie Fox over on her Facebook group has a rack list, a random acts of kindness list, with everybody who wants to have their address on there, and you can just go, I think I'll go and just randomly pick some random names off there, or maybe I'll have my husband or one of my daughters do it. Well, the 15-year-old's still at camp for another week, but whatever, she'll come back and then I'll be fine. God help me when she goes to college or gets married. Anyhow, I think I'll have them pick me some people and I'll just send off some wonderful stuff. So thanks, Tracie, for the wonderful digis. These are super fun to play with. I hope you guys found some inspiration. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments box, or you want further explanation on anything. Yeah, otherwise, this was super fun to do and totally different than what I normally do, but a really nice little change up. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, wherever it is on this wonderful planet of ours that you are. And I will see you guys again very soon. Until then, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.